So the final word on how I use Trello to organise music ideas and the kind of production process, taking them from very raw sketches right out to finished tracks, is just have a quick look at the labels that I use. Once again, most of these are directly taken from the Mike Monday automatic music machine process, but not all of them. And it's at this stage that maybe some of these ideas, in terms of how I've organised stuff, might be applicable to people who don't just do their own productions, maybe their own electronic music, but maybe people who are in bands or projects of other sort of collaborative nature that may just help just navigate the cards and the ideas a little bit more. So taking it from the top, we saw earlier that the yellow bookmarked label just means here's a fresh idea. I'm listening back to it a second time with a kind of critical ear, and what I'm listening to is kind of okay. It's something that I might want to work on in the future. I probably will want to work on it in the future. So that goes in the sketchbook bookmarked column, and you move the audio file out of wherever you've put it. Your 64-bar idea, move it from whichever folder it's in at the moment, and then put it into that sketchbook folder, sort of on the back end, so that you can find the project file again. Discover, draft, and done we've just talked about. Discover obviously is when you've selected one of your bookmarked ideas to develop it a little bit further. Draft is when you've done the sessions to actually build out that little idea a little bit more, from just the discover sort of exploration phase, and it's actually turned into something with maybe a couple of sections, definitely with a bit of an identity. And now you can start listing out the things that need to be done to it, and then you can do those sessions and really start building it into a much more sort of complete piece of work. Done is when you've kind of taken that draft stage as far as you can, but you know for sure that you want to release it. If you do the draft session, by the way, and it comes out as something that you're not that happy with or you don't want to release just yet, all you do at any of these stages is just stick it all back into the sketchbook bookmark folder, and move the card back to the bookmark column, because they'll all be marked. Again, this is the genius of the wonderful Mike. Because you've labelled them with how far you've taken each one, you can easily go back and see ideas that you've actually taken maybe all the way through to done, but you just decided that you didn't want to release it, but it'll still have the little green marker on it. So later on, you might think, or you might get a call, somebody might say, right, I really need a piece of music that's, B minor, 97 beats per minute, and I want it like tomorrow, can you do something? You can just go through and find if you've got something that is basically done, that is in B minor or an equivalent, related key or whatnot, with the BPM that whatever it will, the project asked for, and you can just go in and find that, and you can pull it back up, and you can prioritize working on that to get it basically finished and maybe released or sent out to whoever it was that asked you for it. Really, really easily. You can just easily find stuff, which is just amazing. So that is the kind of standard sort of automatic music machine stuff, but I've put a few extra ideas in here in terms of how I've... Oops, my screensaver has just kicked in. A few other things in terms of how I help organise myself. I've invented a new label called collab, like collaboration. As I say, I'm working with my old friend Cecilia, who's done some incredible vocals on a couple of my ideas, and she sent me some ideas of her own, which are brilliant, which she has obviously written, produced, and sung on. This one here, Over, is one of those, and I cannot wait to get these out. But they're collaborations. They're slightly different to my regular personal stuff. So I can easily find this slow cycle track here. It's got a blue marker on it. I knew that one anyway, but as we do more together, it'll just be really handy to be able to look in each column and just see exactly which ones are the collaborations. It also helps when you're listening back on an idea, because you might think, do you know what, that is absolutely right for Cecilia's incredible vocals. So because I'm collaborating with her at the moment, that's who I would be thinking of. But Andy and others who I'm hoping to collaborate with, Henry, etc., over time, as ideas come in, I might just put them collaboration, and then I can just put a note on as to who it might be, a good idea to take forward, with which collaboration I'm working on. That's very cool and very helpful. The other label I've got there is song. Now, sometimes I come out with ideas that are just, banging dance music and, you know, whatever, it's all, you know, much of a muchness. But occasionally, if I just decide that I want to just slow things down a bit, get a bit more melodic, put in more ideas in the kind of writing sessions early, you know, very, very first stage of an idea. Sometimes when I listen back to stuff, even on the day that I've done the session, but certainly when I listen back, certain ideas just sound like songs. That they would be songs. They would be part of a song, not an instrumental piece of electronic music, but something which would probably have, you know, words, lyrics, vocals, etc. If that's the case, I just mark it as song, because then I can just go straight in and see the ideas. If I want to pass a batch of ideas over to somebody who I might be working with, I can just send them all the ones that are labelled song. Very easy. The next one down is Old Idea Sketchbook. This is not that relevant, but I used to get just so confused around where ideas were, and, you know, depending, I put some in like if I'm using Reason, I would have a separate Reason folder for my tracks to my Logic folder. It all got horrible. So what I've done is I've put all my old ideas, I've just gone through them, all the sort of decent ones. I've exported them just as audio with a new Trello card for each one. And at some stage, I've gone through some of them and labelled them up by what I know they are. But at some point in the future, I will go through those and I will move them into Sketchbook or blacklist them accordingly. But for now, it keeps doing that. For now, I've just put them in a separate column. And as and when I go through all of those, I'll actually remove that old ideas concept, because there won't be any old ideas. They will all be in this process. And then the next one I've invented myself is what I call DJ set material. These are simple, quick, choppy little dance ideas, like electronic dance music ideas, that may not necessarily want or need to be turned into something significant as like a complete piece of, like a full-blown track, but they could just have something very cool about them that would work really nicely in a DJ set. I have just bought a Native Instruments Tractor DJ unit with the Tractor software, and I've just been recently just tinkering about with the concept of stems, which I don't know if you can see that little multicoloured icon down at the bottom there, but that's the Native Instruments stems creator, where you can export 4 elements of a track and have them as separate audio files in the same audio package. And with the Native Instruments DJ controllers, you can, in a DJ set, you can drop in and out, just drop your drums in, drop your vocals in, drop your effects in, drop your bass in, which means that you can interpret your own tracks on the fly. So if you want to take one idea which has got a really good hook, and another idea that's got a really good bass line, and another one that's got really good drums, you can collage all of those things together, not in the old traditional way of just having to play the whole track and filter off the bits you didn't want to hear, but now you can actually have the individual elements produced as separate audio and mishmash around with those, which is awesome, and I cannot wait to get going on that, but I just haven't had time at the moment. But DJ set material is a pink marker, because there are some things I've just been coming out with which I know are, you know, potentially they're collaborations, potentially they're, you know, just DJ things. But this thing here, Trip B minor 121, that's something that's probably just a nice little hook or a nice little beat that would lend itself very nicely to just being used in a set to kind of fill out a set of more completed recordings, like complete tracks. Finally, non-bookmarked. Well, we talked about that earlier. That's the blacklist, where things go automatically when I don't want to work on them anymore. And that is basically, I don't know why my computer is flicking from random things to other things, but that's basically it. Ideas come in, you turn them into a 64-bar pattern, you put them into the starting column, you listen back to them, you figure out which ones you might like, which ones you don't, deal with them. Then you pick out the ones you already thought you liked and take them further by discovering and exploring them a bit. Then you start honing them. Then you start to kind of think about finishing them. Then they are completely finished, and you go through the mental process of actually completely deciding that you're going to release something. Then you release it, and into the released column it goes. Tickety-boo. So that's the process. I really hope that's useful. Again, I must say full credit to Mike Monday for inventing this and for passing it on, and being willing to share the knowledge as a coach these days, instead of focusing on his DJing and his own music production stuff. It's revolutionised the way that I can manage my own output, which is fantastic. Highly recommend anyone checks out Make Music Your Life, which is Mike Monday's kind of working name. Please subscribe to the videos. Keep checking back because there's going to be plenty more. But I hope that's been a useful overview of how to manage and organise stuff from inception all the way through to completion. Thanks.